Next week is Workgroup Week here at OnTableTop, and we'll be giving away 3 2-player introductory battle packs.
Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender once again. And this summer looks to be shaping up to be a summer of battles. So we have a show filled with battly goodness. We check out some of the news about Bolt Action 3rd Edition, what Mantic are getting up to with their summer of sci-fi, and Wargames Atlantic's battling both big and small in medieval Europe. On top of all of that, we also have a prize from store.ontabletop.com, the Adepta Sororitas Battleforce Army of Faith. If you want a chance to win that big box bundle of nuns with guns, then come over to ontabletop.com, find this video, and post a comment below. If you need to, you may have to sign up for a free account. But that's it. Now, sit back, relax, crack open a beer, because your weekend starts now. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben and John to take you on a delightful meander through the world of hobby.
Oh,
I'm a little hobby trailblazer taking you into the woods like Hansel and Gretel's stepmom. Yeah. I lead you to the hobby and then I abandon you there. You have to find your own way home.
And you drop bits of sprue in the wood to find your way home. That's
just
the
broken bits of 3D prints.
Yeah, you never find them. It's like the carpet monster.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's why I'm hoping you all get lost. How have you been keeping? Having a good week so far?
Good.
Yeah, well enough, yeah.
I've been enjoying the foosball. Obviously, it all ends tomorrow. Be interesting. I look forward to the random Armada-based chants coming from one section of the crowd. Who knows what they will be? We can but dream. But been a good week for hobby as well, though. Oh, there's been so much stuff going on. So much. And I'm not just talking about the stuff that's been delivered to me. I did get my Victrix Knights, though.
Ooh.
Victrix
they were
Knights.
quick off the mark with those, weren't they? Wow.
Oh, yes. Well, I think I seen them teased in renders months ago. So,
oh, yeah, but I meant from the pre-orders to them getting released.
From the
yeah. A little bit longer, but yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, no point waiting around, which does mean, and it may come up later on, it will almost certainly come up in the comments, because I keep seeing, how do Wargames Atlantic's Medieval Knights scale with Victrix? And I've only been able to go, I'll find out, but not yet. Well, I'll know very shortly. And so will everybody else, because I'll do a wee unboxing on those in the not too distant.
Very nice.
So that people can find out. However, that's nothing to do with this week's show. That's just for future. I'm a tease.
Teasers. Ha ha ha.
Yes. But speaking of teasers, we have big stuff coming next week. Down the pipeline, as they tell me. We have a whole week with Killian and Hoppo from Corvus Belli talking about the new Warcrow fantasy skirmish game.
Ooh.
So yes, the winds from the north are coming, and they blow green and stinky with orcs. But don't worry, the heroic humans and their delightful elven allies from Embersig will be on hand to absolutely leather any of those northern tribes who decide to come south and plant people. So this will be an introduction to the game itself, taking a look at the mechanics, the factions, their stat profiles, where you can go after the winds from the north, and of course how the game plays itself, especially with magic involved. That's my favorite of them, by the way. Keep your eye out for that. Everybody should be on magic all the time, and I'm not saying that like some sort of addicted mage crying out for the stain of the tinge coming my way. Everybody when things go horribly, horribly wrong. But yeah, the Winds from the North is going to be an interesting little narrative campaign intro. So it's not just 2 starter forces. There's a campaign in it with some really nice writing and a lovely little campaign system. So
Very nice.
we'll have chat about those, and we'll even take a look at some of the upcoming things.
Models are lovely as well.
The models are
absolutely gorgeous.
Gorgeous. I love the Winged Hussar looking fella. And that support mage war surgeon is quite good as well. You can throw healing bombs at people. Or, you can throw healing fire at people with the spellcaster.
It's the best way to administer medicine by throwing it at people. Yeah.
It's the best way I found to stand well back from the combat where any orcs may be able to find you and just lob
just a case
at
of
people. It's
just a case of mitigating damage by destroying the person that's trying to deal it.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh,
there's no wounds to heal if the one that's throwing the pain is already dead.
Yeah.
That sounds like an episode of NCIS. It literally does.
Yeah,
they get a guy to sign up for the Marine Corps, telling him he could be, he wanted to be a combat medic, but they don't have them in the Marines. And they use something like the justification of superior firepower prevents combat casualties. So
it's just the American military in general, though.
So in many ways, he was kind of saving lives on his side, but not by being a medic. Anyway, yeah, so we'll have a whole week's worth of videos coming for that. Keep your eye out from Monday, which is nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. Now, normally we'd move on to the Indie of the Week, but I've inserted myself into the running order like a wedge. Just to give people a heads up, this is a pre-indie. We have covered this before. However, I got an email from the gentleman in question this week, and he said he's back. And the reason that's important is Clearco, who do the absolute best Plains Wars Indians that I have seen to date, in a variety of flavors, from Crow to generic to I think there's Apache or Pawnee as well. All the models are utterly gorgeous. However, he only casts and sends them out when he's back in his native country. So you've got like a very small window where you can get your hands on gorgeousness like this. That email tells me he is back in country, and you can now order, and orders will be fulfilled. So if you've seen that indie previously, then you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, we'll put a link to the indie down there, and you can go and have a look at a more in-depth review of everything that's on the site, because there's not just the Indians, there's also some moderns and zombie stuff as well, which are really cute, and Neanderthals, or Neanderthals, depending on your pronunciation. But yeah, don't worry.
Depending if you're posh or not.
I have already put my order in, so I'm not worried that I won't get my stuff.
So you're fine. Yeah, I'm
fine. That's important that I point that out. So don't feel shy about ordering and thinking that I may miss out. I won't. It's very important that people know this. Anyway, right now on to the most important part of the week, our second Indie of the Week. And this is another one that we've covered before, but we're covering it now for a very specific reason. Do you want to tell them the very specific reason, Benjamin?
Yeah, so Otherworld miniatures, which have been a stalwart of the miniature wargaming world for a very, very long time, are going to be doing a closing down sale. So he is hanging up his boots and his sculpting gloves, I guess. I don't know. He's guttering the fire in the forge and is heading off for a well-earned retirement. Don't worry, though, the miniatures are going to exist within other ranges. However, in the meantime, with the end of the website coming up very soon at the end of July, Otherworld are holding a closing down sale. So currently, and I say currently because things are going at a rate of knots.
Yes.
There is 50% off the entire range of miniatures using the code So Long and Thanks, which is a very good reference, obviously, to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'll put the code down below as well, so you can check it out for yourself. But the entire of the range is 50% off, and once it's gone, it's gone. So make sure to check it out over this weekend, because he reckons by the end of Sunday, these might all have been scooped up, which is insane. But yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a range we've loved in the past, talked about extensively. There are some absolutely to die for miniatures in here, and I'm not just talking about the giant slug. Although I will look at the giant slug. Oh, he's already gone. Look at him. Look how, I mean, you could see why he'd go. Because if there's something that your opponents are not going to expect, especially, I mean,
big ass slug.
Something coming down the corridor, maybe your party decide to run and bar the door. It's a slug. It'll just and squeeze underneath. You imagine those just eye stalks coming up first, and then the rest of the hulking monstrosities slowly slipping through there. Yeah. Oh, that's disgusting.
You'll have been happy when the thief managed to take that pot of salt from the local tavern a day earlier. So,
maybe not the noise it made. Our slugs just snails that lost the house in the divorce. Anyway,
comments down below.
Man, we're going into like slug subculture now. This is insane. Wow.
Writing the backstory. People will be aware of this from classic D&D book cover way back in the past. It's an absolute gorgeous piece of kit.
Really is.
It's almost entirely sold out as well. Yeah, out of stock. So yes, things are going quickly. I'm not going to go through every single bit in here because you'll spend an age in it, but I would like to see things like the undead. Where's our undead live? Because the undead are one of my favorite ranges.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about what Otherworld have done as well is that, as well as having like a really nice selection of quote unquote generic stuff for you to use in your fantasy games. So like be it D&D or Frostgrave or whatever, there's also like a lot of their series miniatures. So they've worked with either book creators or people who've done stuff for modules and things, and they've designed for like role-playing games, and then they've designed miniatures around that. Like I picked up the Beowulf miniatures and Grendel and Grendel's mother, and they're amazing. Their undead range is phenomenal. I know for a fact that's going to get snapped up and added into however many different ranges that other people have. I know Crooked Dice have already picked up a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
You can see why as well. Stuff for 7TV. The Death Knight. Oh my god, it's one of the best models I think I've ever seen for an undead character.
Just so good. Spot on for anybody who needs a white to absolutely cripple a party with, or lead a unit. Oh, he's already gone. Yeah,
I know.
You're gonna have to get in quickly.
Yeah. I checked this morning. I was most dismayed that I hadn't looked earlier in the week, but
it's one of those creepy Japanese
monsters. Yeah,
it's just a head,
a huge string of guts. Yeah,
head with the spine and all the intestines. That bounces, I think, towards you like some sort of weird pogo stick.
Looks like it bounces.
Yeah,
it's either bounces or floats. They're big on floating heads in Asian horror as well.
Maybe it slinkies towards you, like
like some sort of very wet snail.
Yeah,
concertina. Yeah.
Constantine.
Yeah, I don't want to think of any of that. But you can see the quality of the sculpts, and hopefully all of them find a new home. I'd be very surprised if anything is left on the shelf by the end of the sale. I'd be even more surprised if any of the ranges don't find a new home.
Yeah,
because the quality of them is absolutely superb, including things like the ghouls, which I'm fairly certain will match perfectly with heresies and bad squidoos. Ghoul range, which are lurking down the bottom, the Skellybob Warrior. There we go. Ghouls and even some ghasts. I mean, those are superb. Look at them coming at you out of a grave, creeping along. It's nice to see organized religion still has a place in Ghoul Society. Bad monk. No, bad. Don't want to hear about your monkey ways.
It's great to see so much of it is out of stock. it's great to see they have the support towards the end of just getting everything cleared out.
I think there'll be a lot of people like me who have looked at ranges like this and went, oh, they're great, I'll pick them up at some point, and then all of a sudden heard this and went, panic, and immediately just grab everything they can, because you don't, at the moment, it's all in one place, it's a collection, and you can go, well, I know X, Y, and Z's here. In a month or 2 or 3, by the time everything's closed up and the molds have been sold to whoever, they've got to get them, catalog them, start casting them, put them on their own websites, and then you have to find them. And knowing that Crooked Dice will have some is great, but then you go, well, Crooked Dice don't have the dragons. Who's got those? Or, for example, I have no idea what they've got their hands on. But yeah, you may end up having to go and hunt around and see whether Midlam or whoever else, because they'll be wanting ranges that supplement their own, but don't look out of place.
It might be nice for Otherworld maybe to just have a landing page that tells you who got what range, just as a guide.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. Actually, I think
so if you come
on
here,
social media where they're going to do something like that, John. Yeah. So.
That'd be good. I mean, somebody else did that whenever they were going away. I can't remember who it is now. I had it a second ago.
I know. There's a couple of companies. There's a couple of companies in the past that have sold off stuff to other companies, and
Studio Miniatures did it. Yeah. Studio Miniatures had a little thing going. The Medieval Mayhem range is now at Hayland, so if you're wanting that, just go there.
Rubicon Miniatures bought a resin casting guy as well, and I think his original page just points to Rubicon because he was doing resin upgrade sets for vehicles and stuff. So.
Yeah, makes sense. I know a lot of people use this stuff for D&D and role-playing games and things, but I've also seen a lot of people picking these up for basically all of Joseph McCullough's games. So Rangers, Shadow Deep, Frostgrave, etc. A lot of these would be really good. There's a particular scenario in Rangers of Shadow Deep where you have to fight your way up a tower and then fight a white at the end of it. Spoilers. But a lot of people picked up, as it was the white that we looked at earlier, for that, and they use a lot of the NPCs that Otherworld have done to slot them into the different games, because often you'll have to find random people from sort of exploring houses and things, and so this collection was fantastic for that. I know a lot of people dived in and had a look at the stuff that they were offering. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. They're all really, really nice metal sculpts as well. For the most part, they're like one piece, maybe two. Yeah. So you just pop them on a base and away you go, really. So that's it. I picked up the Wizard and one of the book learning scribes for Frostgrave back when the first edition came out, and I really enjoyed painting them up. And then got one of their knights as well, to use as a martial leader for Frostgrave. That was very cool.
He's done up a cockatrice and teach it. And come around here turning people to stone. Anyway,
I think this would work quite well with the stuff from
Antediluvian Miniatures. I was looking at some of the bits and pieces in the fantasy.
It is, yes. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good match, proportions wise and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of cracking companies out there that these would be great, not just to supplement the range, but to expand it like that. I mean, not having to build up the molds and, well, not molds, the sculpts and the like over the years. Just a one done, thank you. It's just absolutely fantastic. You've got him, haven't you?
I don't, unfortunately.
How could you not have Aragon?
I know.
I almost swore there.
Yeah,
that's so weird. You're gonna have to find him now.
I am.
I suggest you start looking in Prancing Pony inns up and down the country. Yeah. See if he's sitting in the corner.
It's especially galling because I look at, going back to McCullough, I look at McCullough's blog quite a lot, the Renaissance Troll, and he has quite a lot of old miniatures and stuff from different companies like Otherworld, where he's here's my alternative for Aragorn or Gollum and things like that. And I'm like, oh man. So,
there's the Warlock from Firetop Mountain.
Yeah. I actually had a look at Otherworld not too long ago, and I think I probably need to explore a little bit more of their Dark Tower stuff, just to see if I can pick up some of their quirky characters and like spellcasters and stuff, because I want to dive into doing some sort of like Conan-esque stuff, as I think I talked about in XLBS a couple of weeks ago, and I'd love to get some of their characters to represent like shamans and stuff like that in my games. Very cool.
Yes.
Gorgeous dragons as well. Yeah.
The dragons are such a recent addition as well. I remember when he was in a news article only what feels like a few months ago.
Yeah.
Could have been 6 years, Jerry, you know.
Yeah. Everything was slightly longer.
Stick a warrior running up against that red dragon, and you've got the front cover of the red box.
Yep.
I wonder if someone will take the game that they designed, the Otherworld skirmish rules, where you just sort of played out dungeon delving battles against each other and play around with that. I think that would be cool if someone carried that on and continued to stock it. That would be nice.
That you mean?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I get that. Weirdly, again, that's something that came out ages ago, and I remember seeing it at Salute for the first time. Again, this was years and years ago at this point. Being like, oh, that's cool that they've designed like a fantasy skirmish game with you, with all the miniatures in mind and stuff. Because you could take that rule set, apply it to like the battle systems terrain, you know, that they've done for dungeons and stuff.
Yes.
And you'd have a ready-made dungeon. You've got all the miniatures available and the rules and things. You could play out some fun stuff with that, I think. So,
that would be fancy. 2015, that came out.
I know. Oh my God. We're so old.
I would say that probably 10 years ago, but 10 years ago was the 90s. We knew that. So we don't have to worry about it too much. So this is more a public service announcement than anything else. There is an absolute battery of stuff in there. As you can see, a lot of it's gone. So you may just have to scroll through, and you will spend a lot of time going, only I knew. Which, you know, c'est la vie.
I think the main thing to take away from it, though, is that if you do find something and you're like, maybe, I would just say yes and get it. I mean, it's 50% off anyway. But if you were like, maybe, that probably means you really want it, but you've just decided, potentially I'll come back. Just get it. It's the charity shop rules. If you see it and you want it, just buy it. Because it will be gone next day when you go back.
There's a troll about to get absolutely biffed by a minotaur.
Yeah, with a big biff as well. I mean,
yeah, that's huge. The size of it. You don't often see noses that big on trolls.
No, very true.
I'm assuming that's what you were talking about there, Benjamin.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Big snoz.
That's the bunny. So Otherworld miniatures. It's been emotional. Good luck on your retirement. And for everybody,
this will definitely build up the retirement fund. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
just get in there, fill your boots for as much as you can, and if you see anything you want and it's already gone, then just bookmark that page and check their face page as well to see where those ranges are going to end up. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Right, let's have a look at some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, so we're back with the news, and we're kicking things off with some medieval out of Wargames Atlantic. See, I told you there'd be talk about it later on. I'm so good. I'm so very good. I should just reach over there and pick up the Victrix Knights and hold them beside my screen and just go, yes, they're the same. That won't help anybody at home, but it'll amuse me. Anyway, Hudson has been chucking out previews left, right, and centre, as he is wont to do. And this is some more boxes coming for their Baron's War plastics alongside Andy Hobday and Paul Hicks. So we knew there were more coming after they did the Knights, which are lovely and delightful. This time round, it's some of their foot sergeants and also their peasants. So all the people who aren't nobles. Have you got a surname?
The ones,
no. Bye.
Yeah. The ones that make up the vast majority of your army.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very simple. Do you know who your grandfather's grandfather was? You don't. Well, then you're not one of us. You're one of these dongers. So, as you can see, a fantastic range of sort of 12th, 13th century medieval.
They're so good. Oh.
Yeah. Nice mixture of armaments, both in this. So you've got your chainmail wearing types. You've also got people just in gambis, some with surcoats, some without. And then obviously a range of helmet types as well. So you can theme your foot sergeants to a particular vintage, depending if you go more conical and round, or maybe even chainmail coif, you're slightly earlier in the 12th century. And then if you're starting to drop in more the flattened steel helms and pots on top, then you're pushing into your sort of latter period. But as you would expect from Wargames Atlantic, the sprue is absolutely jam-packed with stuff. So you can put together your foot troopers as support with crossbows, outlawed by the Pope, or actually that's a lie. Pole arms, hand weapons. It's one of those, everybody knows this fact. You get excommunicated if you were caught with a crossbow. Not true. Never appealed to
That's one of those TikTok things. It's like, did you know?
Did you know? And turns
Top
out
10 laws that are still outlawed.
Like you
kill
can shoot a
Welshmen outside. The castles.
Not true. Don't do that. Don't shoot. It's fine though if you hit them with a longbow. No, it's not. It really isn't.
You can shoot them. You're then subject to murder laws.
Well, yes. So yeah, a big Galvy bucket load of foot sergeants coming. And as we know, they're a mainstay of most forces for both barony and crusadery. So you'll be wanting a big Galvy bucket of these. Obviously nailed on for things like the Barons' War, but you can go so much further. And alongside those, we also have the filth. You know they're not kings because they're covered in shit.
The revolting peasants.
The revolting peasants. And again, interesting choice of weaponry. So you have some with more actual serious weapon types. You've got people with spears and bows and the like, but then you've also got
hooks and the like.
Yeah. But then you've also got the pitchforks coming in there. So, Peasants' Crusade, Peasants' Revolt, all of these are fine. Do a bit of the anarchy. Why not? You're only young once. And again, beautiful sculpts that really lend themselves to either a full force or to supplement the existing metals that Paul Hicks or one of his clones has produced for the Barons' War already.
3-foot saw and stuff,
I appreciate the bowman with the "I'm still plucking you" gesture.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Very much.
Stand on a hill at Agincourt.
Yes.
And fire some bows into the flower of French nobility.
Greet the French, everybody.
It is a traditional greeting. I don't know what you mean.
All we're doing there is showing how many goals
Churchill did it all over France.
Yeah.
It's just how many goals Spain scored against them. They scored twice. Yeah, okay.
I love the longbowman in the set. It's such a cool addition. I really like it.
I also like the fact that they've included things like arrows in the ground.
Arrows in the ground.
I wonder if they probably shouldn't do stakes, to be fair. But I wouldn't be adverse to seeing some on the sprue.
Maybe through Atlantic Digital, they'll do like a row of stakes.
Oh, that would be clever. You're a clever man, Ben. You should do this for a living.
Thinking.
Yeah. Anyway, so the levy and the foot sergeants are obviously both nailed on. However, there are more boxes coming, and they include mounted versions of the foot knights. And there's also, I believe, mounted versions of the foot sergeants coming as well. So you'll be able to do your sergeants at arms mounted, as well as the actual noble knights themselves. They look really nice, and I think that will be the 4th horse set.
Yes, God. It's actually, but both the mounted sets will be compatible with the foot sets as well.
Yes.
So if you want to change what they look like, you can just mix and match, which I think is a really nice addition. So
because they've all got sort of heater type squared off shields. I know the foot sergeants had at least one rounded Norman-esque teardrop. So maybe you want to save all of those up from your foot and then just have all of your unit like that. Who knows? They look really nice. Not as many of them running as you'd like though, Ben, is there?
No. Too much cantering, not enough charging. That's what the Victrix ones have over these. So. You'll
just tire them out, and all you'll end up with is a load of dead horses and nobles having to walk home in their spurs, and they won't be.
I've played Medieval Total War. I know I can run them around as much as I like, and they'll be fine.
You can't.
Definitely. Right.
You can't. That's why they had one horse to ride to the battle, and then they had one or two battle horses because they didn't want to tire them out by sitting on them with their armor. So, that's what you could use some of the spare light horse for. Wargames Atlantic. You just have peasants at the back as horse holders carrying a load of stuff. I
was going to say I'm seeing the levy as outlaws. Definitely going to add those alongside the metal stuff from Footsore, so you can have Robin Hood and his merry men
dealing with
in the
woods. Sheriff.
Yes. Oh. There's even a supplement about it for the Barons' War, so you can go in and have some fun.
It will be absolutely cracking to see that. And if anybody has or can find Ivanhoe, the BBC adaptation, it was absolutely clinker sham. It was. It's a great miniseries. Obviously, similar period. But once you watch that, the first thing you'll be wanting to do is do things like the Black Knight and drop in Sir Desdicado, the disinherited Ivanhoe, because he's a really nice shield design, like a tree in it that he gets from Isaac. Anyway, I digress. Go and find that. Good luck, Skipper. Last I've got a DVD of it. The last time I seen it available, you had to buy it from the Netherlands.
Wow.
It was like a Netherlands TV rip or something that was being sold. It was bizarre. Maybe BBC will put it back on someday.
Yeah. This reminds me, I've been searching for the animated version of The Hobbit on DVD, because you can't. A lot of people just send it on VHS or whatever.
Yes.
Every single copy I've found is just in Spanish, and I'm like, I don't want the Spanish one. I'm sure it'll be great to listen to.
It might be great in Spanish. You don't know.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, very emotive.
Fantastic stuff. If people want to see what the Foot Knights look like, we do have my unboxing, because it's the only one that matters, I think. Isn't that how
it's it's the one that's shown on the Wargames Atlantic website. So
that is true. Yeah.
One. Yeah.
So I must be doing something right, that they haven't given me a cease and desist. Please stop reviewing our sets. So yeah, you can take a look at what you get in the box. I'd love to show you the figures, but Lloyd threatened to stamp on me if I didn't hand them over. So I don't have them anymore. They've been taken away by Lloyd to have their shields repeatedly replaced for no reason. So,
and they will be painted in 6 years' time. Yeah.
Never painted.
Oh, actually, probably never. Yeah.
Never. Right.
Be filed away under Rome.
Don't upset me, John. Who's up next, Ben?
So next up, we're looking at something from the far future. This is for a Kickstarter campaign that is probably going to be going live in, as the Americans say, Q4 of this year, so winter. So this one comes from the folks at Forgeborne, who are working on a new game that is inspired by the likes of Kill Team. If you've played that from 40k, and also Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, and stuff like that. So Terminus Frontier is a 1 to 4 player game, which is cooperative, which is a full-on campaign-based game where you'll go from scenario to scenario, sort of playing out tactical-based board game antics on the tabletop. You get to take on the role of a drift hunter, who are one of those fine fellows that you see there, who are bounty hunters and outlaws and mercenaries who are going around planet hopping, killing as many things as possible and taking all the loot, dragging people back for money and all that kind of good stuff. If you've played games like, as I say, Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, it'll be a familiar concept to you. You will choose what quest you're on. You'll make narrative choices out of combat, and you'll decide what you're going to do and what sort of stories you're going to pursue, and that will evolve over time, and your choices will matter as you go from down sort of like branching narratives. But then when you actually get to the gameplay side of things, you'll be taking your awesome heroes, and you'll be playing out games on the tabletop against your enemies, which might include the likes of bounty hunting, so taking out particular targets. Some of the other mission types they've talked about are kind of like holdout missions, where you have to survive for X number of rounds against numerous amounts of enemies coming to get you. Sometimes you'll be hacking into kind of vaults and trying to get inside to steal all the goodies and stuff like that. But there's meant to be loads and loads of detail in there for, I think it's like 100+ hours worth of gameplay. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more than that in the end, because with these kind of games, you tend to be playing them for years more than months.
Just fair enough.
What was quite nice is that the actual sessions themselves will only take about 2 to 3 hours. So you could probably fit these into like a day's worth of gaming. So you sit down, maybe play 3 or 4 missions, and then you'll find out where the story will take you, and then you'll come back later and you'll delve into a little bit more detail on it. One of the things they've talked about is that while there's obviously with games like Frosthaven, and Gloomhaven, you have like 10, a dozen characters to play with and stuff like that. In this one, the customization and the depth comes in the way that you build your characters. So while they have prescribed ways of playing them to begin with, you then have lots of different decks that will denote their weapons and their abilities and their armor and all that kind of thing, and their equipment. And then you'll use that to make your characters more diverse and unique to the way that you want to play on the tabletop, which I think is quite cool.
So you can tailor your loadout, your build for whatever equipment they happen to have. I wonder if that's scenario by scenario, or if there's a certain element of boss looting, if you know what I mean. Will you find better stuff as you play? And
I think you probably will as you go through, So you'll be able to like take stuff from scenarios and things that you kill, and be able to use that, and obviously buy things from stores in between games, as you tend to do with these sort of campaign-based things. Gameplay is also going to be card-based, so it's not going to be not dice chucking luck. You'll have actual optimal plays that you can do, so you'll know what damage you're going to be doing and all that kind of thing through the flipping of decks and stuff to do damage and things, which I think is quite nice. I really liked the 2.5D element, as Warren likes to say, of the game, where it's played out on on the boards, but then you have the really cool terrain that you set up and the barriers and things. So I think that'll be really fun. It reminds me of kind of classic 40k and Necromunda cardboard terrain that you kind of just bosh together and will probably fold flat when you put it back into the box.
Oh god, This it looks like it's got a similar build to the Acid House
range.
Range, which is collapsible afterwards, so you can pop them up and then set them down again. This I really like, because it's like a blending of something like Infinity with Frosthaven. You go now kiss. And you just you end up with
have a baby.
You end up with an interesting then sort of style. It's because, like you say, because it has the set on terrain with the standees for your opponents, makes it feel more like a miniature skirmish game than just a board game that you're playing through. So I'd be fascinated to see how that goes and how much scalability is in that. Would it be possible to play bigger scenarios, or even just make up your own larger scaled things that play out across a larger board with maybe more elevation and the like, or are you restricted in some way because of the sort of the dynamics of the play style?
One of the things that I really liked about the campaign and what they've said at the moment, I mean, they're going to go into a little bit more detail about things and what's on offer later on down the line, but they've added in a couple of different options already for people. So they have said that they're going to do it with everything as miniatures if you want, but if you just want the standees and then the player characters having the models, you can go down that route. So if you are somebody like me who was like, I'll paint your heroes, but goddamn, I'm not going to paint the rest of the models in this thing. That's why I sold Mythic Battles Pantheon. Then you'll be able to just get the heroes as miniatures, and then everything else will be standees. So they're going to have those two different options for you, which will obviously be cheaper in the long run as well, which I think is really cool. So I'm really excited for this one. And the guys at Forgeborne have said that they're going to keep us updated with Terminus Frontier over the next couple of months and as we go up towards the Kickstarter as well. So hopefully we'll bring you more information about the game and sort of how it works over the coming months, which will be very cool.
Yeah. So, I really like the visual aesthetic of it as well.
It looks awesome.
It looks to me, being me, It looks like if Infinity and Slay Industries got together.
It does a little bit.
Because there's a certain amount of Stormerism in there.
Yeah. It really strikes me as, yes, Infinity, but also Mercs from back in the day, because some of the stuff is that bigger, bulkier kind of look that Mercs was kind of going for.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Sweet like candy. Right. Keep your eye out for that one if you're a fantasy fan in space. Because that lady at the end looked a bit elvish to me. Anyway, going back to Wargames Atlantic, and for some more medieval news, but a very, very different scale.
Not
Obviously,
Lloyd's favourite skill.
Not Lloyd's favourite skill.
A real
everybody else in the world's favourite skill. So they announced the coming of Samurai and Ashiguru in 10 mil for their battle scale a couple of weeks ago. Since then, the internet went, oh my God, and sort of blew up. And they've dropped a few more nuggets for us since then. First off, the Grand Battle Scale, Samurai and Ashiguru will not be alone. There will be a command sprue, so we've seen the core infantry and cavalry options, sprue for each, but obviously no commanders, and they were asking for ideas on what could go on there. First up, one sprue will do both boxes, so I don't know if they're going to include one in each box, or if it'll be something that you can pick up separately. Who knows? But they are planning on putting a lot of stuff on the sprue, as always, including your commanders with their lovely fans for doing their maneuverings. Tell my units where to go.
That's the song they sing as well. That's so authentic, Jerry.
Yeah, that's 100% what they do, along with the massive banners to allow the commanders to see who's going where and when. No word on Tom Cruise being on the sprue. I did ask, at which point some cheeky so-and-sos said, well, if Tom Cruise is on the sprue, then that would be 6 mil, wouldn't it? Not 10.
He's just on a box. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, there will be a comprehensive amount of stuff on there to give all the requisite pieces that you need. Some people were asking for bits and pieces that may be a bit more generic-y baggage trainee, that you can then drop on to have games like L'Art de la Guerre and DBM and stuff require you to have a camp at the back. And if you ever lose your camp to the opponent, you've lost the game automatically. So maybe some of these pieces then can create little camp dioramas for that style of game, because that's something that's very necessary for a lot of the small scale grand battleisms. So that was the first thing, and that's what we were expecting to hear. We were expecting to hear more stuff about Samurai. They are, after all, just in pre-order and about to release. And then they went, nah.
I was going to say, as well as the command sprue, they are taking votes from the community on what else to do for Samurai and the Samurai range. So if you do want like Sohi monks or Korean troops and things like that, you can go in and sort of be like, I'd like these, please. And if you vote for them and they get top, you'll get them. So that's cool.
What I will say is you can vote for as many things on that as you want. and so a lot of people have just gone, no, that'd be very good. I stopped at 4. Once I had my Josephine Koreans,
you were reasonable.
Koreans, the Ming, artillery, and Tepu Samurai, I went, that's enough. I don't need any more. Ninjas and Iko-Iki and Sohi monks and stuff. Yeah. I mean, in a 28 mil game and sort of a semi fantasy based thing, ninjas running about is cool for a given value of cool. I don't want to see them in my Samurai. Maybe one at the back of a base about to stab somebody in the back. I mean, that'd be fine. But otherwise, no. Do not add. I need no ninja. Anywho, the big exciting blazing news is, after the big exciting blazing news of Samurai coming in 10 mil, they went, you know what? Oh, more medieval. Let's go to Agincourt. Going, really? You've not even got the first boxes out yet? Can you cool your jets? And they went, no, we must not. Here's what's coming for Agincourt. We've seen them in big and now they're small again. So, going to be following a similar style to the Samurai. If you've seen the sprues in the previous Weekender, you'll know that the strips themselves are 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s. So if you want to build it wide, like a sort of a 10 rank file, That's right, isn't it? Yes. Then you can do so, but if you play a smaller frontage game and you maybe only want, 5 or 6, then you can do that. You can even base some of the stuff individually or have them skirmishing in front of your forces, like with the archers. So this will be fascinating to see what exactly they do there, especially whenever you've got, obviously the French and English. It's a massive, massive battle, but then they have the potential to expand beyond that. And so far we've not seen any big terrain pieces. I can't imagine we'll see any terrain pieces in 28 anytime soon because of the multiple investment. However, 10 mil,
God.
They could potentially do encampments, battlements, stuff like that for some of the sieges.
That would be so good.
Wouldn't it though?
Battering rams, siege towers. Oh.
Yes. Because I mean, the sky's the limit. When you go small, you can go massively big without having to worry too much about, we need 4 sprues to do a castle wall because we need to do 10 mil. You're going, well, we can fit most of that onto 1 sprue. So 1 sprue for a wall, 1 sprue for a tower, and off you go because everything's smaller and compressed. Not saying they will, but call me Hudson. But it'll be fascinating because obviously there's other bits and pieces in there beyond the English longbow and kniggets that we've seen. Obviously the French will be coming, Genoese mercenaries, so you get lovely pavés, crossbowmen hiding, shooting people, then hiding again, which is delightful. And then obviously we'll see on the sprues in the same way to the samurai, I imagine cavalry alongside the peasantry. And probably, I don't see any reason why they would need to change the style that they've gone with the samurai. So, you have your knights and then you have your peasants as your two sprues. Where foot sergeants fall in that divide is up to you. I imagine probably on the peasantry sprue.
Probably. One of the that I quite like, I mean, they are just going at this at like a rate of knots. Obviously the samurai stuff is coming out. Which is Rob McFarlane, and then Rob McFarlane's working on this range of medieval stuff for Agincourt. But then the other sculptor, whose name I will pronounce very badly, he is working on the third range, which will then come with the game, the game rules that they're working on. So I wonder if they did. Obviously, they don't put bases in the sets. And they'll probably make it base agnostic, for want of a better word, when it comes to the game itself. Yes. But maybe that will then be used to dictate almost the dimensions of things like castles and terrain, if they do stuff for like walls potentially. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting to see if it's a set of rules that are specific for that third range, or if they're kind of like a catch-all set of rules for all of their 10 mil stuff. I suppose we'll wait and see. But yeah, I
remember when we talked to Charlie briefly, we did touch on rules, and it was very much in the same ethos as Wargames Atlantic's plastics, which are, here's stuff that you want and you can supplement it with stuff from any other company.
Right.
Because, there are companies doing lots of 20 and 10 mil figures out there. So you want to keep the scales similar so that people can use their existing ranges with the new plastics. And he was saying something similar for the rules. Love them to play with the rules that we write. We want the rules to be good enough that people want to play them. And if they play them then using the majority of our figures, great. But at the same time, if the rules are solid enough, then people should be able to dip in with their own forces from stuff they have. So I imagine it will follow the sort of the DBX L'Art de la Guerre style, where basing is probably more unit dimension. So whatever your base is designates ranges and movement. So everything, if you've based everything on 40 mil, then a move is 1 40 mil forward, and a bow range is 5 40 mil, so 200 mil, whatever it happens to be. If it's 60 mil wide, then that's your movement. And then that way it accounts for different basing. But time will tell. We'll see. We'll see who's working on it and what they come up with. I'll be intrigued. to see what they do with their own set of rules, because they're publishing a lot for other people at the moment, which are all available on the Wargames Atlantic website. So yeah, fun times ahead.
Ooh,
fun,
exciting.
fun. Yes. Right. Who have we got next then?
So we're moving on to the part of the show that I'm here for. The whole reason I'm on this weekender.
We wheel him in like Hannibal Lecter. And we just tip him up, take a mask off, and he can talk.
That's it. Yeah, you pull back the curtains and it's just me stood there going, so. We're going to be talking about some Bolt Action 3rd edition, because of course we are. They've been bringing out some intelligence reports talking about the new rules that are upcoming and stuff like that. And this week they brought out their army building sort of guide, like what they're doing in 3rd edition that's different from the last one, on how to actually form your platoons and how the armies are going to go together. Doesn't include points costs yet, and I think points costs are going to be very key given how these new platoons and stuff are formed, because I can see immediately a couple of gamey ways of doing it. But what we get initially now is reinforced platoon that we had from 2nd and 1st edition is gone. What we're doing now is building full platoons and attaching them to the core. So the core of the game obviously is infantry. Much to my chagrin, Tank War was great. You have to form an infantry platoon, which unlocks the other platoons available to you in 3rd edition. So, for example, what we have here is your standard rifle platoon, which is your HQ and 2 troops. Very familiar, very comfortable.
40k.
It's very, very comfortable, very sort of snood comfort for me, that HQ and 2 troop. But once you have that filled out, you can either fill out the rest of your points using that platoon's layout for mortar teams, sniper teams, anti-tank teams, that sort of stuff. But having that 2 troops and HQ choice allows you to include other platoons in the army now. So you're allowed to take heavy weapons platoons, you're allowed to take armored platoons, recce platoons, that sort of stuff. They all have their own HQ2 troop-like kind of makeup to them. As you can see here on the armor platoon, you need 1 command tank and 1 vehicle. But you can take up to 3 others. So you have a maximum of 5 vehicles in a platoon if you have the points to build that all out. I quite like, from my first glance at it, I really like the sound of the recce infantry platoon, because their transports, even if the transport doesn't have recce as standard, it gets recce for an extra 10 points. That's really kind of the only points that we have to talk about. Which is great, because you're going to have your carriers, your 251 half tracks, your M3 half tracks, and all that sort of stuff are going to be roaming around and doing what recce is supposed to be doing. It's a light armored force or a light mechanized force that's going to go out and just harass stuff, I think, in the game, rather than what recce should be doing is giving information back. It's just going to be harassing stuff, maybe pinning a few things down, getting those early pin markers down for your main force to come up and pick and choose where the weak point is, which is going to be kind of cool. In general, I like what they've done. I think, again, without points costs, we're not going to be too sure on how gamey this is going to be able to get, because I know even back in 2nd and even 1st edition, you could really get away with minimal platoons, 2 5-man squads and a lieutenant, and then just start throwing vehicles at it until you've made your points value up. I'm not sure that's what I want to happen. It's definitely not what I want to happen, that's for sure. But I think something is going to be balanced out in points costs, and it would be great to see when those costs come out what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's not a massive sea change to how the reinforced rifle platoons currently work, to be brutally honest.
Just need more officers, I think, really.
Well, that's it. Because currently, if you want to take your, let's say you were trying to get a lot of tanks into a force, you'd still have to start off with these anyway, and then you would have 1 tank. And then if you wanted a second, you would then have a second reinforced rifle platoon that would require you to have a commander and 2 squads and then another tank. And you would do it that way by having multiple small reinforced platoons. This is the same. You must have a core rifle platoon to get a support platoon.
Yep.
And you can't double up. and support platoons without rifle platoons. So you're still always having to start with the core infantry and then supplement. This gives slightly more in that you can go, the scenario is X, therefore I need a ton of medium machine guns.
Yeah.
And this allows you to field a lot more machine guns than you would have been able to by doing the small list spam. So I think the rifle platoon or the infantry squads in the rifle platoon, I think they may be bigger. I think you may lose the take 5 men and then, or add 1 more man per up to the maximum. I think they may start off and go, yeah, these are going to be maximum or close to it.
But they're trying to keep it as the infantry is the main punch of the force anyway, because we don't want vehicle spam, because we get enough of that in other games where things just turn into car parks. And we don't necessarily want that. But what I'm trying to aim at is you can, with these images here, with these layouts, you can take 11 models as your infantry platoon and then have 5 tanks because you've unlocked the ability to take an armored platoon. It's obviously going to swing your game in a certain way because infantry aren't exactly not able to hurt a tank, especially if you've taken a platoon that's got bazooka teams or Panzerfausts and anti-tank teams, all that sort of stuff. So I think it really is going to boil down to the points costs of things. I'm kind of hoping they make tanks more expensive so that they're more of a real choice.
Rarity.
Yeah. A luxury, I can take a tank platoon, but it may be 1,500 points on its own in a 2,000 point game where the rest of it is infantry, and
then they just need to do other things to complement that, so I don't think vehicles should be able to hold objectives. Maybe contest, but even then makes them a little bit more overpowered. So yeah, just force people into the infantry route.
Could be interesting to see if they balance things through the scenarios that they design as well. I mean, obviously, if you're playing historical scenarios based on real events, that kind of dictates the sort of forces you should be bringing to those fights anyway.
Yeah.
But for those people who are diving into their matched play tournament style games, if they set up scenarios where you have a restriction on what particular platoons you can take based on scenarios or something, that could obviously be an interesting way of taking things.
Yep.
It's a little bit like what Five for Victory does with some of its scenarios and stuff as well. But yeah, I think I'm with you, John. I think this sounds like a really cool way to actually start building up forces and keep the focus on infantry.
I like their emphasis on, we don't want existing players to feel they've been left out or their forces aren't working anymore, because first and second edition really still stuck to that 1HQ2 troop kind of malarkey anyway. So it's, what I like about where they've gone with this is it feels more, particularly for making a historical scenario, because historical scenarios are typically asymmetric anyway. So for example, if you were doing 30 corps driving for Arnhem, it would be a full tank platoon with a recce platoon, Yeah, that book.
It's weird, because I've got multiple campaign books and I was already sliding this out before you plucked 30 corps randomly. Yeah. But yeah. My book falls open at that page, John. That's rather creepy.
Handy, that. Hell's Highway,
yeah. So, but yeah, because the campaign books I think are absolutely fantastic, but they were always working against the list formation. Your list building was restricted and controlled by the reinforced platoon style. And it meant you were always having to go, and you were always having to go down that, which meant sometimes the forces you were building may not have been as accurate to the actual action as they could be. This, I think, will change that up, because all you have to do is go, well, here's your scenario for Hell's Highway, and maybe then you can take your multiple tanks, platoons, and mechanized, and for that particular scenario, you go, well, this is a tank-based thing going down this road, so for this scenario, your tanks are your unlocks, and do that tank war flip. And then, but then for Arnhem itself, you go, well, this reinforced platoon is not available, or not reinforced platoon, this support platoon is not available because, the airborne didn't have them. Boom, didn't have those. They lost the gliders with the jeeps. So you don't have these, and here's what you're left with for this particular action or encounter.
You can have a recce platoon, but it won't have transport.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
It also opens up some really interesting things, I think, for the Armies of books as they come out, because they can stick with the core of the rules of the rifle platoon being the core of your army that then allows you to build onto things. But an Armies of Germany book might have multiple variations of a rifle platoon.
Volkstorm rifle platoon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you'd be like, this is my specific one themed around that. This then unlocks all the other bits and pieces and stuff. So
it's a much smarter way to go about it. It feels more like what your army building is becoming more like Lego blocks that you're sticking together. So your base plate is your rifle platoon, but everything else you build to form that structure is based off whatever else you have unlocked based on the scenario as well.
Yeah, because I never even thought of that, Ben. You cunning little devil, you. But changing what the core rifle platoon is based on theatre and period. Your British Expeditionary Force rifle platoon will be very different.
Will be very different from a late war one.
A D-Day rifle platoon. In makeup and in constituent parts, and even in weaponry, because they had a different sort of slew of weapons available.
Your BEF rifle platoon may have a Vickers machine gun team in with it because that's just what they did, but your later ones post D-Day, and that may have 2 Bren gunners in it, 2 LMGs. Plus, it lets you change. It lets you play with the motivation of the troops. It lets you play, obviously, with their loadouts and stuff like that, and the numbers involved, because... And it makes that a lot easier because you're not working to those previous restrictions with the reinforced platoon. So I like it because it's nice and fresh. It has a new sense of this makes sense to me because an army is built in blocks anyway. It will forever be the platoon joins that platoon, makes that platoon, which makes that division or makes that corps. Yeah, that's how an army is built, so it makes more sense for Bolt Action to go down that route.
Yeah. And that's the first of their intelligence briefings, but they have said there'll be more coming. I don't know if it's going to be weekly at this stage or more ad hoc, but over the next couple of months to the run-up of the release.
I think it's weekly, but they are similar to other companies like Wargames Atlantic asking the community. They have asked people what they want to see. So if you are like, I really want to know about how points are going to work in the new edition, or I want to know about tournament play or scenarios or Armies of books, that's the kind of stuff they're going to try and focus on. So if you want a particular thing to come up, then you have got to get involved on social media.
Go make some sock puppet accounts, just start spamming. For very low price, Chinese and Indian people will do it for you.
So long as the fine fellows at Warlord tell me that when they do it, when you're making a historical scenario, points cost go out the window and you're just buying platoons.
That would be a good idea.
To be honest, even if they said you're still using points for historical scenarios, I would still chuck them.
Just take whatever anyway.
We still don't know what we played for Village Bocage because I've never bothered pointing it up.
No.
Because we just went by the orders of battle. But this is what they had. Doesn't matter if it's balanced or not because this is what we've got to play with. I may have outpointed John considerably. I'm not sure.
Well, your 5 Tigers definitely had a good go.
T-Greys would be expensive. But yeah, that's what you want. You want the flexibility of a system to allow you to do whatever you want, but then at the same time have a certain amount of rigidity in there that it shouldn't be easily exploited.
Yep.
He says, hopefully.
And full transparency, I have invested. There is a pre-order on the Warlord's system with my name on it. So I'm happy.
But that's always a good sign. If the minute you see the rules, you're going, oh, I will buy these, and not, what is going on?
I actually sat and watched the Weekender where you guys were talking about the Bolt Action stuff, and I was sat watching the premiere, and I went,
it's heavy penance.
On my other monitor, the Warlord Games website came up, and the pre-orders were there, and I was like, oh no. Oh, PayPal credit. That's such a shame.
Oh, pay in installments.
I'll be in debt at some point.
I forgot about that. Let's not remind me. Right. Anyway, enough multi-actiony. Let's drop another bombshell, Ben.
Haha. Very good. So the Darkgrim City miniatures range from Bombshell Miniatures, see what Jerry did there, was previously available through Kickstarter as 3D printable miniatures, so they were as STL files, but they're now been made available physically through Bombshell over on their web store. You may already have garnered what kind of vibe they're going for with these miniatures, but if you haven't, it's more time. It's kind of like more time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
French Crusade.
Yes.
So they designed 2 factions for use in their sort of Darkgrim City range. I assume more of them will be coming down the pipeline because I think these did very, very well. The first of these are the Sisters of Hamar, which are your awesome Sigmarite sisters from Mordheim, now revamped with a couple of new sets for you to choose from.
Do not give ranged weapons to the ladies who blind themselves. You don't know where that slingshot's going. None of us know.
Sigmar will guide her shot, Jerry.
That's
how it works.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Or if not, there'll just be a lot of dead allies. But yeah, so there was a character model that was designed for the set alongside 3 different sets of Sisters of Hamar, which come with heavy armor, sort of medium armor, and then light, and then a variety of different weapons amongst them. Obviously, the majority of those weapons are hammers.
Yes.
But it's obviously all been themed around the idea of you being able to build these as wartime warbands, or obviously you could throw these into Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and you could use them as awesome Cities of Sigmar miniatures alongside the rest of your troops if you stick them on the round bases rather than using squares like you did in the old days. Straight lines, Jerry. The old days were better.
I kind of... Can we go back to the character?
Yes.
She's cool. I like her.
Welcome to the Castle Anthrax.
Oh, bad, evil, naughty Zoot. She's been letting our Grail ship beacon again.
She's going to, this lady's going to give someone a spanking.
Yes.
She is.
And after that, we can't say that.
No, we can't say that. We weren't allowed to say the other thing last week, so.
No. Ben is.
We will never tell.
We're not.
Alongside the Sisters of Hamar, there were also the Skittrix, which is their ratty, not quite Skaven collection. But the thing that I really liked about what they did with these is that, obviously the Sisters of Hamar were very in line with the Sisters of Sigmar.
Yes.
From back in the day.
Very much so.
The Skittrix stuff is kind of like gentleman rats, which I thought was quite cool.
They're like Victoriana.
It is.
I also need to say this, and this is going to sound so bad of me, but the fella in the bowler hat down there.
Yes.
Who is the trader from Firefly?
Oh, Badger.
Badger?
Badger.
Yeah. Yes.
I got as soon as I seen it, I went, that's kind of Badger vibes about that.
Yeah,
just
Badger, but rat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so they've done a selection of different characters. So there's your kind of your leader figures, which are the ones we just looked at. These are your kind of mages, your warlocks, if you want to throw them into your games. I like that you've got one that is more of a spellcaster and then one who just throws highly volatile cocktails at people.
Yes.
Which is very Skaven.
His name is Molotov.
Baron.
Although if it was a Warhammer name, it would have lots of like commas and punctuation. Yeah.
Mol.
Yeah. Molotov. We throw. And then you've got some big creatures as well. So there was their kind of rat ogre version that was thrown into the mix, which I thought was quite cool. Again, slightly more, not quite as off the wall as the Skaven designs of Games Workshop. And again, would be very nice for something a little bit more kind of steampunky potentially as well. But I like that you've got the kind of sort of technological bits and pieces built into the arms of the rat ogre to kind of give it some strength and stuff.
He's a brute, but he still has to look respectable.
He does, yeah. Yeah, in his lovely short shorts and stuff. Yeah, although I think that's probably just a big robe, but I'm going to paint it as short shorts and make them Hawaiian or denim.
Denim.
Bombshell.
I was thinking.
I'm sure
3 white
Bombshell
lines
will
down
love you
the
for that.
side.
Yeah,
That's it. Just nice color, and then 3 white lines. Like he's wearing a pair of classic 80s hoodie shorts there. Nice white trim.
But it's a really nice little collection. There's a lot more of it over on their web store as well for you to go and check out. As I say, they're all available physically now. So if you didn't get them as STL files, you can just get them 3D printed by Bombshell, and they'll send them to you. And if they do well, I'm sure they will revisit Darkgrim and do more warbands.
I really like the chainmail on the nuns. It's nicely done, nicely woven, which is good. But yeah, definitely the Victoriana looking rat men. They're great.
It is a vibe, and I love it. Yes,
it's very different from they are rat men, therefore they must be filthy and sketchy. They're very more. What's the one with legless in it? Market Row, Carnival Row.
Yes.
If Carnival Row have rat men, and let's face it, they may well do, because there's everything else in that show. They would look not dissimilar to that coming up out of the ground. You too can invade London. Right. What's up next, me? Oh, I'm glad you asked me. We're going to be taking a look at some of Mantic's releases for
this is the
Summer
reason
of
Jerry's
Sci-Fi.
in the show.
You may all go asleep now for a long, long time. So we've had some previews from Mantic of what was coming for Firefight and Deadzone in their 20th mil Warpath universe. Now these things are up for pre-order, and we can see them in all their glory. And my lord, they are glorious. So, the first off, racist space elves, the Asterians. They're getting some boxes. So these are primarily for Deadzone, although obviously you can use them for Firefight as well. That's the nice thing. They work both ways. And this contains a whole host of plastic models, both core sort of Cypher Force and then your marionettes if you just want rubbish people, controlled by an Asterian somewhere in the background with a remote control. So hard plastic, but there are options in these to make some of the other bits and pieces that you'll need if you want to run things like Cypher Leader. And they are absolutely corking, because before these were only available as a rustic PVC. So not having to do the cleanup work on these anymore, I'm forever in their debt, because it's so much easier. I've already got a ton of marionettes, but there's always room for aggressive expansion, as we know from the Asterians. Other parts that are going to the Plaid are the Black Talons. So this is the veteran booster. These are resin, along with a new resin Asterian playing along in his Game Boy, or what do they call those things for Fallout? Pip-Boy?
Pip-Boy.
See, I pay attention to the kids. Again, these are more elite versions, and as such, resin cast rather than plastic. Obviously, the styling's identical to the old style, so if you already have some, you can just drop in a few more of the Black Talons and just start punching your way to victory. But these are all great. He's the thing I'm most excited for, because we've had very few Asterians, and I like the fact that he's not in super
flesh.
slim.
Yeah,
armor. He's a bit chunky. He wants to protect himself. There's no point in going to war and getting yourself killed, not when you've got AI and puppet drones to do these things for you. There are, however, other Asterians who are less worried about that, and the Kalishi are a resin set. So these were originally available as metal. The Kalishi are Asterians who want to be more viscerally involved in the combat. They don't like how technology has removed them from the bloodshed, and if they need to, then they will quite happily mess you up. There is a new Kalishi miniature for this set down here as a leader figure. So they're going to be interesting for people who want to get into Deadzone, because you need very little for them. Obviously, they'll all spam across. So if you do a firefight force, then you've got additionals that you can then pair off into Deadzone, or you can use your Deadzone as a small force to get started into it and then upgrade into firefight for a larger style game. However, racist space elves, they have an empire, and in that empire are giant sumo samurai lizards. And that's where we're at. Oh, lordy, looks lordy. So the Matsudan are getting a whole host of stuff. We knew they were getting the plastics because they appeared in the firefight starter set against the Nightstalkers. But if you want to just run pure Matsudan forces for Deadzone, you can do that. So this one also has some of the marionettes, including a nice marionette leader. They also come with upgrade parts to make them into the specific Matsudan style of close combat pistol ones. They're called like kurage. Anyway, they're a different style of marionette.
Type of eel?
Could be. Do not quote me on that name. You'll be able to find out though. So they are not your regular marionettes. Well, they are, but they're upgraded to be more close combat based, because the Matsudan themselves are also very similar. This starter set includes the new plastic, so I believe 2 sprues. So every sprue will have 3 Matsudan with options on there. And it comes with this massive, chunky Gokai resin leader. He is insanely tough to take down in the game. He has a personal shield, and everybody who's in his cube, because Deadzone plays in cubes, also get +1 armor for his personal shield.
Nice.
And when you finally kill him for the first time, his life support system kicks in and restores him to full wounds. Boom. So you've got to kill him twice. Good luck, Skipper. I'll look forward to seeing how that works in the long run.
He's like an Elden Ring boss.
Yeah. You're desperately drinking potions, and you get him down, and then you go, and then the music changes, and the health bar just goes up again.
This is not my final form.
That's pretty much it. So they're coming as your core force for Deadzone, but there's also a few other bits and pieces. So the Wanderer's box includes a Ronin, who has wandered off to try and redeem himself, face covered, house markings covered in black rag there as well, as he wanders around the place like Lone Wolf and Cub. That is his cub. So it was a crocodog for the ogres. It still is a crocodog, but it has a new name in the world of Deadzone. Nice. So they're accompanied by the massive Akira-esque space biker. He is a delightfully fat fellow, chunking around the place, as is all only right and good.
The brutes from Halo want their vehicles back. I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
If you say so, my friend, I wouldn't know, because I don't think I've ever seen a brute on a vehicle like that. It is a jet bike type affair, so they're quick moving. The Matsudan grav bike, so he's kind of funky. He can ram into people or just do donuts around them while firing repeating las guns over and over again at their heads.
Nice.
The main thing with all of the Matsudan is they've got 2 very specific things. One is they're big, bulky, fat sumo lizards, so they do a lot of knockback, and they're very difficult to knock back out of cubes themselves, which makes sense because they're giant, fat sumo space lizards. The other thing is they are honorable. And this means it's going to be a faction that some people are not going to play. You cannot target pinned models, because that would be dishonorable to shoot somebody when they're already on the ground. And they also, if they get into combat with somebody who's pinned, they cannot deal damage. If your opponent has given you an extra dice because they're pinned. So if they get into combat and you're lying on the ground, they're not going to stamp on you. So right off the bat, Justin will never be playing with these, because he can't be filthy, which makes Mr. Ronin there very interesting to me. The fact that he's disgraced himself in some way and has had to leave is fascinating. So yes, that's the Matsudan. However, they also have a giant robot in the form of a big honking resin piece called the Diodara Bocchi, which is a massive assault mech, multi-limbed, as you can see. It has some interesting little quirks about it. There are 2 loadouts. One is this massive shield and gun for your support variant. That's actually a quad-barreled thing with a grenade launcher underslung. So that's sit back and shoot. However, I much prefer the assault mech version, where it has a big chain flail and a close combat weapon.
Nice.
And it just gets in. It has not a boatload of attacks, because everything starts with 3 dice in Deadzone, and then you modify from there. So you're always limited on your dice. However, he will make sure those dice do a lot of damage because he hits on a 4+ on a D8. So over half the time, he can reroll one of those for frenzy, and he is tenacious. So if anybody attempts to leave his cube, he gets to stamp on them. And they automatically suffer an attack that has 1 less die, so they're down to a 2 dice survive roll to try and escape him, as he's got many limbs to just go squish, 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 squish. So I look forward to seeing him jumping on Veerman in the not too distant future, Paul. I'm not saying that's going to be happening to you, but what I will say is
it's on its way.
Very much will. So
you are not prepared.
There's a couple of other bits and pieces that are Mantic Direct only. So there's one of the Living Legends, Otashura, you can pick up individually. However, he was the resin character in the Firefight Asterian box set.
Right.
So if you've picked that up, you've already got him. He was the only Matsudan in there. The rest were obviously all Asterians, so he was just a wandering fellow. He's also a bit of an outcast and a loner, so he doesn't get a lot of the benefits of working with the other Asterians because they don't, or the other Matsudan because they don't really like what he's been up to. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to all of these, but not half as much as I'm looking forward to Nightstalkers. So Nightstalkers are coming after being released into the Warpath universe by Maison Labs, the absolute best of all the scientists out there, decided that they could do better and wouldn't in any way, shape or form ruin the world.
Putting the Umbrella Corporation to shame.
Then it turns out they accidentally ruined not the world, but the galaxy as a whole. They sent a big RSVP to the Nightstalkers in their realm, went, really like you to come and play here, and unleash them into the Warpath universe. So the core set will give you a set of Butchers / Ravagers, along with the Scarecrow Spectre set and a Banshee to lead them. Banshee's resin. The rest are all hard plastic, but there are some resin upgrade pieces to make the 3 weird looking ones here. I say weird, they're all weird, but the one with the massive mouth, 3 heads and a giant eyeball, which are essentially different types of support weapon that you can upgrade your Spectres to if you want to have a bit of fun with them. Then there's also additional boxes to supplement them, so your Tormentor or Reapers are going to be coming in hot with all the spikes to mess people up, backed up by a lovely Horror, which is a resin version. He had been PVC as well previously. I have so many of these, I don't be needing him. However, I do be needing their flying friends there. So the Horrors booster includes some of these delightful.
They're so weird.
Well, they're not. Are they weird? They're just because they've got weird souls and barnacles and
big
things.
sucky mouths.
Big, as you say, sucky, as you say, mouths. Discuss. Just because they've got them hanging off them like limpets. Don't worry. The Lucas Void Rays are just coming to say hello to you. They'll be delightful and you'll enjoy their company. And then there's also the Interdimensional Horrors box. And this includes a big Butcher Flesh Ripper who's a stonking boy. In comparison, I mean, the others are ogre sized. He's bigger than ogre sized.
Wow.
The Mind Screech is a big resin thing. That's the floating, screaming space brain. Don't worry about them. They're delightful. And then the last but by no means least, the massive Dread Ravager is there to vomit hot love over everybody with the heavy void cannon or null cannon. So
lovely.
Depending on how that's vomiting forth, you may find results vary. But yeah, really, really nice to see these appear. Also nice that they've all been added through to the Mantic Companion already. So you can actually go in and start doing a bit of list building if you're interested in Deadzone, or if you're just curious about it. The rules are all there. The lists are all there. You can see what the game's about in short order. Yeah, I do like my Nightstalkers. I'm possibly going to steal that color scheme or a variant thereof.
I suppose one of the nice things about the Nightstalkers as well is that you can pick them up for Deadzone and Firefight.
Yes,
but then if you wanted to, you could just bring them into Kings of War and use them in the fantasy realm as well. So we just, make it so you can plug and play them into the different bases when you need them. So There you go.
You
Or just square base them.
You put your lovely Flesh Ripper on a nice square base.
In a square cube. So
He's so happy. I have so many. I'm probably going to lean heavily on the Matsudan space lizards, actually, rather than the Nightstalkers.
I think that's a good way to
begin
go.
with. Because just because the sheer volume of Nightstalkers I have in this house for fantasy at the moment, doing a load of them on round basis will make me wibble. And while the Nightstalkers may want me to go wibble, I do not. Wibble. So that's us for the news. I think I'm going to have to go and have a lie down, but after that, we'll be back to round out the show. All right, we're going to be taking a look at some 3D printing then. And Benjamin, you're a cool cat. What have you found us?
Well, this cool cat found a cool kiwi.
Nice.
So I was putting together some news this week, and Studio Historia were talking about doing some physical printing for this particular company, which is Cool Kiwi Miniatures. And so I thought we'd go and dive into their range in more detail. Now, they do a selection of different things. They have quite a lot of fantasy football stuff, but the stuff that I really wanted to focus in on for this particular show was their Napoleonic Dread range.
Oh, I was just about to click on the Blood Bowl Dwarf team because I assumed that's where you were going. But
I have resisted.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay.
So a lot of people currently been playing Silver Bayonet and having a lot of fun with that. And the most recent sort of trip for that was into Egypt, of course. And there are a few miniatures that are based around it. But whilst there's obviously a selection of official miniatures from the folks at North Star, you can get in metal and stuff, a lot of people have been going out and designing their own characters and troops and stuff for you to use in the game, and really enjoying that blend of both the historical and the pulpy horror that you get from the Silver Bayonet. And that's effectively what Cool Kiwi's been doing. I mean, we looked at a creator not long ago, actually, who's doing something similar, creating the models that they wanted for their particular unit.
Bill Thornhill.
Yes, that was it, Bill Thornhill, yeah. But Cool Kiwi has obviously got a thing for the French and also some funky creatures. And so has been building up a French unit alongside a whole bunch of different characters and some wonderful camels.
Yeah. Well, not all French. I mean, that's Russell Crowe from Master and Commander.
There's obviously, there is a Royal Navy captain in there as well, with Cross at the ready to hold back the vampires and the mummies and everything else.
I don't know about you, but vampires camels. Zombie camels. That is at the top of the list of things that would terrify me. Vampires and mummies, somewhere way down here. You don't want to see one of those galloping towards you over the desert. Look at that. It's not right.
I wonder if a zombie camel would spit like corrosive stuff at you. That seems like a thing. Yeah. Anyway, lots of cool STL files for your zombie camels, and also some of the other creatures that have come up as part of that Egypt supplement as well. So there's some of the slightly more esoteric stuff. But it's a really lovely little range of very nice characterful miniatures with lots of detail built into them, obviously, as well. Studio Historia doing like some physical miniatures from this range, specifically around the French unit. But if you're looking for all the other bits and pieces, you can get, there's a saber has been stuck through the side of it to try and kill it, but it is still going. I think it needs Arnie to punch it to take it out properly. I think that's the
Mongo.
Candygram Mongo.
But yeah, so the French unit's like one of the core releases they've done, although they also have a wonderful miniature of Napoleon himself. To throw into the Nemesis Napoleon to throw in. But French unit's got a whole range of different characters in it. You've got your officers, your hunters, surgeons, and everything else in between. There's like a sapper as well. So if you want to get that kind of, there you go, that awesome look of like the big apron and the axe from the artwork from the Silver Bayonet, you've got that vibe going on there. So you could replicate that on the tabletop. So it was quite nice. It's a lovely little collection of stuff, and I'm fairly sure some of these people are going to be backstabbers and cutthroats that are going to screw you over at some point during the midst.
Well, him, right? I'm not saying he doesn't look like he's just successfully completed a surgery. He looks like he's successfully done something he shouldn't have
Yeah.
He's the sort of guy who'll have removed the limbs from a vampire so he can keep him in a box and test him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he looks like. He's just neatly removed all the limbage, put him in a wee box. Well, every now and again, I'm just going to take.
He's the Wayland Yutani of the Silver Bayonet period.
Yeah, smug son of a gun.
Yeah, it's a really nice little collection of stuff with lots of detail. Obviously, again, as I said at the beginning, I think one of the nice things about the Silver Bayonet is that you get to mix a lot of that cool historical detail in with pulpy stuff that sort of takes things in a different direction.
Like that?
Just like that, yeah.
I love that because obviously we've all seen Brotherhood of the Wolf.
We have.
So obviously the idea of Indians coming over to France.
Kicking ass and taking names.
Has been done already. And weirdly, why is this the first time I'm seeing it in miniature form? Yeah.
Where's Monica Bellucci when you need her, though? I mean, everybody remembers that scene.
I'll need a moment. That's an interesting officer. He should be given a duck's foot pistol instead, something with a bit of spread to make up for the fact he can't see anything. No depth perception.
Yeah.
Just give them a bit of buckshot.
If you are looking for some enemies to throw into the mix, as well as the French unit, they've also done a French vampire general as well. So if you wanted to send Sharp or whatever up against some nasty Napoleonics stuff and have them going against Napoleon and the rest of his crew, then you could always do that, which I think is quite nice. Very cool selection of bits and pieces from there for sort of objective play.
Nos Bonaparte.
Yes.
Yeah, he comes in two flavors: Vampire Bonaparte and Zombie Bonaparte,
and then Napoleon blown apart. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, John's feeded me. I've taken that joke and I'm going to run with it.
You went long.
I went long. Yeah. Hail Marys, man. That's the only thing that'll save you from the vampires. But yeah, really cool. Look at him standing astride that cannon.
Cannon, yeah.
Wonderful stuff. Yeah.
In the desert sands.
Mm-hmm.
He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, look, beautiful plumage.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the equivalent of a vampire Capri Sun because he can squeeze it.
Never get the last drops out of it, eh?
Yeah.
And also clue markers, because you do need those for the game. Yes. So you've got some with bodies coming out of the ground and all sorts of things. I think it's quite nice. I was going to say with the vampire general, I quite like the idea of taking it potentially a different way. And you could almost have him, because obviously he's got the cannon and the cannonballs there and that sort of sandy look to the basing. That's great. A hermit crab in a bomb mortar. Yeah. But maybe that vampire general has been marooned on an island. He got the curse, and then so they've marooned him somewhere, and so a crew comes over to sort of investigate the island because they've heard mysteries about it, and there's just this vampire general running around, and maybe you could have a bunch of undead monkeys as his servants that are trying to kill you and stuff. He's quite cool.
He's completely off his rocker, and he has lined up an entire battle formation of just coconuts.
Yes. That he drills every day.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is, about to escape.
Yeah. So we've already come up with some fun stories. Cool.
You may wonder how I got in this situation.
Oh, yeah. It's the first time meme from
first time. Yeah.
I can't get the idea of the coconut battalion out of my head.
Yes.
I'm dressing them like seashells and stuff.
These little painted little tunics and stuff on them. Sticks for muskets. Yeah.
Oh. Well, you've made a project for yourself now, John.
No, I haven't.
Yes.
What I will do, right? I'll do it for Easter next year, and we'll use Binny eggs.
Oh, yes. There we go.
Every casualty is eaten.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
But yes, really nice stuff there from koolkiwi. Does a lot of fantasy football stuff, as we kind of looked at when we was checking out the store. But if you are interested in getting some bits and pieces for the Silver Bayonet, you can go and check out the Napoleonic Dread range. I'm sure it's going to expand with even more bits and pieces in the future. But yes, make sure to come and check out the fantasy football stuff as well. And maybe you'll be able to design yourself a fun team or two.
And you too can find out what they do in the shadows.
Yeah, I mean he's not got a ball on him or anything. So suddenly that's another character you can throw into Silver Bayonet as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember his name.
What are you doing?
I'm doing the shadows.
I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah.
You're what? I'm a dinosaur.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking stuff. That is pretty cool. From the Kiwi. I like it. Like it a lot. Right. We have a couple of Kickstarters to round out the show. I'm looking forward to this one.
I'm not looking forward to this one. And I always thought that the memes were bad enough.
Yes.
I thought the Nicolas Cage son was bad enough. I thought the Rick and Morty son was bad enough. But unfortunately, someone thought, hey, I need my childhood ruined a little bit more because this is how I actually saw them when I went to sleep. This is Rise of the Eldertubbies.
Uh-huh.
So imagine Dark Souls and Teletubbies. And if you don't know what Teletubbies is, excellent. Keep it that way.
You have one at life.
You have one at life. You don't know the nightmare that was the Shire being completely bastardized by a children's TV show and inhabited by weird, almost Stay Puft Marshmallow Men from Wish. So
it was described. My brother was a student when it was on at the time, which meant he spent a lot of time at home watching children's TV because students.
Yeah.
And he described the Teletubbies in Lovecraftian style, up to and including the screaming, burning baby's head that would gurgle at them from the corner.
Yep.
And go, and then there was a vacuum cleaner.
The vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Just what is Tubby Custard?
Yeah, none of this made any sense to me at all. And then I watched it one day. I went, it's no better. But these are bizarrely creepy. These are Trench Crusade
in the best way.
Bizarre,
very Dark Soulsy kind of, but not in the it's a Dark Souls boss or something like that. It's just it's like village inhabitants running through a village, and you just see people, and you go, I'm not saying that.
Conceived in the dark corners of the imagination by illustrator Yars. They are just so bizarre.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're technically D&D Encounter. Technically, because there are scenarios and rules.
There are rules for them, yeah.
Yeah. Which I think in every respect is even more terrifying. Almost as terrifying as using miniatures in an RPG.
I think they'd be great for Vaesen. I think you could put these in Vaesen and have these wandering around a Scandinavian wood, and they would be absolutely amazing.
These things definitely live up near the Sami tribes up in Lapland. They spend a lot of time making sure they're placated and don't come out of the woods at any stage, because Jesus, look at them.
Yeah. So there's two variants you can pick up. Well, technically three that you can pick up as part of the campaign. So there's STL files, which you can get, and you can get them in their much bigger, like 150 millimeter scale. What size? Sorry, or you can get, which is like 6 inches or something, and then you can get them smaller in that sort of digital bundle if you want. But then they also do a physical version. So if you do like the look of these and you want to get them just because you're a painter or whatever, you can go and get these and snap them up, and they come either in like a standard set, which is unpainted, or you can get like a deluxe version, which comes with like art prints and all sorts of other bits and pieces alongside. You can also get them pre-painted as well. So if you want them just, ready to go out of the box, because you want to just show them off in your mantelpiece or something. And that's also very cool as well.
Freak out everybody at your dinner parties.
Exactly. Time for Eldertubbies.
I mean,
every so often the music playing in the background is just a slowed down version of the show.
Oh my god! If you reverse it, does it say something? Can you?
I hope not.
So you know how they came out of that hobbit hole thing in the middle of a golf course?
Yeah.
So imagine that, but instead of being like a nice little round tubby door, whatever they had, you just have like a stone barrow entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Just that. They come up from the underworld to feast.
And I like that they've still kept the sort of windows in the center of the stomachs.
The screens are still there
because you keep that as kind of like a void door into some kind of strange realm, and maybe each of the Eldertubbies has their own realm that they're in like command of. So you could do it as like a D&D scenario or just any role-playing scenario where if you accidentally walked through the void door, you had to deal with their interpretation of like reality or something.
They get you and they hug you and pull you into their realm. And then you're trapped within the world of Lala the Maternal.
This is getting very SCP now. So
yeah. Also, if you wanted to keep it D&D related, Broken Weave from Cubicle 7 has weird ass like psychedelic worlds. These would be perfect.
I'd love to see someone paint the screens as the infinite mirror effect.
Ooh.
That whoop.
That would be cool.
Just hollow them out and put a little, there must be little tiny digital screens that you can put in to actually do because I've seen those in sort of Stargate sized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There must be smaller ones. And if they're SDLs, you can already make them hollow and stuff all the stuff inside them. Just cram it in there. Don't have to worry about where the battery goes.
Yeah.
Stretch goals, tree stump base, love it. Eldertubbies Zoo, I'm a little bit worried about.
Looks insane in the sketches. And there's also a bigger one, which I think is also being locked. Erd.
Yeah. Erd. And then Elder Nunu is coming. That's the vacuum cleaner?
The vacuum cleaner.
Yes. And then modules and cultists. Yes, because
the sun is coming.
I want cultists. I so want the cultists.
The cultists would
hats.
actually be the big freaky things too.
There's also going to be an Eclipse baby.
Elder Sun, Elder Moon, and Elder Eclipse baby.
The Mother Void.
I'm very curious about Mother
Void. This
Void.
is terrible.
Yeah.
All of this is absolutely insane. And I love it so much. Don't do that. Actually, do that.
Just LED panels into the eyes and the screen. Yeah.
Ooh. Or that Vanta Black / Darth Black / you find one of the really, it reflects no light and looks like a terrible, and then use that instead of having the screen lit up, just have the black infinite void in the middle of their bellies and then make them really bright.
Yeah.
Really shockingly like banana splits bright. Yes. All of that. All of that. You
look
find
at the size of it when you see the figures of
the cultists going at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad you found this, Ben, you lunatic.
I mean, it's as if it came out of nowhere. I don't know who would have put this in our chat. Lloyd had other projects to share, and I was like, nah, screw that. So, trains?
He's not
here.
Trains.
So,
don't care about those. So they've got some of their previous STLs are available as add-ons as well, which again are also batshit insane. And I love this. I don't know where they've been all my life. Well, probably hiding in the ones and zeros world, but at least I can get physical versions of these. If that was something I was after.
I was also going to say the guy who's done the sculpting based on the illustrations, Kent, I think he does videos in VR where he sculpts. So he sculpts in VR, making the models digitally. So you can see him sort of like in the VR space and stuff. It's really cool and weird and
it's not
psychedelic.
That would be very off-putting.
Yeah.
It's a whole genre of that on special websites.
Insert music here. No, wait, no, sorry, not that show.
17 days left, and they have already crushed their goal.
They have.
And now we're just pushing on to get the Eclipse baby head and the cultists. I need the cultists. Not that I'm backing this, but I need the cultists. Give me the cultists.
And again, what is Tubby Custard in this world?
Right, our final Kickstarter, Benjamin. save us from the madness.
So yes, we've done dark and the weird, and now for the fun and the exciting and the Guardians of the Galaxy-esque awesomeness on the tabletop. So Plaid Hat Games are crowdfunding for their newest addition to the Crossroads series. So they've done games like this in the past, one called Forgotten Waters, which was all about pirate adventures. And then this third game is called Wandering Galaxy. And in this, it is a 1 to 6 player board game where there's very much a focus on sort of campaign-based narrative play, where you sort of evolve the story and change things over the course of many, many sessions. You can dive in and just play the game just for one session or two if you wanted to, but the real meat of the game comes in sort of following that narrative and that storyline as it progresses over the course of the game. What generally happens during a session of Wandering Galaxy is that you'll make your characters, they'll have their own special abilities and things that they can do, and then what you'll do is you'll dive into a sort of ring-bound book, which will focus on the various encounters, which could be you traveling through the galaxy on your ship. It could be you landing on a planet to try and do various jobs and things, very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque. So it could be bounty hunting and all sorts of things in between. And then you will have to use your abilities in order to resolve specific encounters in those spaces. And then you'll read from a book, or you'll use the companion app to tell you the story, and that will progress things as you get towards your eventual objective. And once you complete your objective, back into space, continue the campaign, upgrade your characters, go off to different planets, and just continue the storyline as you go through and have some fun. One of the things they've said about this one is like Forgotten Waters was kind of zany and had like a really nice kind of like vibe to it, very piratical and stuff as well. Was a really nice introduction to it, but they've iterated on that, and so through their other games they've done sort of like a fantasy-based one, and now this one's very much more of a sci-fi adventure. It's really good for younger gamers who want, when I say younger gamers, I mean kind of like early teens. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking to get sort of like 10 to 12-year-olds into this game, I think that this would be a really good fit, especially because of that kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy style humor to it and all that kind of stuff as well will really draw them in. The fact that they get to make really interesting story-based decisions, and it's not too mechanically heavy. It's very easy to sit down and play, and a lot of the emphasis is on your kind of choices and sort of where you take things. They've kind of built on the game mechanically and add a little bit more depth in the way that the ship works. So you actually have to look after the ship and sort of on your travels, and each of you will be designated a particular position on the crew. So you'll have to look out for power and all that kind of stuff, and like get your weapons ready to take on things that you might encounter when you're out in space and stuff as well, which I think is a really nice sort of addition to the game. But it's just really a really nice evolution of what they've done previously. And if you've played any of those other Plaid Hat games that I mentioned, doing Freelancers and stuff, which is their sort of fantasy one, then I think this might be a fun one for you to dive into. One of the things that I've seen when I've looked at reviews and previews for this game is that a lot of people have said, while they've iterated on those previous games and added new mechanics in, effectively you choose the flavor that you like and then just go with that one. So if you like fantasy, go with the Freelancer one. If you like sci-fi, go with Wandering Galaxies. If you want something a bit more quirky and you like pirates, I mean, everybody loves pirates, then go for the original one, Forgotten Waters. But it should be a big, fun, amazing story in a box. Very rules light, lots of emphasis on the storytelling and just having some fun as you sort of venture around the galaxy. To give you an idea of the kind of vibe for the game, the first mission that you do is called the crap job, because everyone has to do a crap job before they do their better one. So the better ones. So yeah, very cool.
I love the fluffy dice.
Yeah.
As a player token. Yeah.
Hang them in the cockpit. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
it is very Star Wars / Guardians of the Galaxy. Lest we forget, Han Solo does have lucky dice in Millennium Falcon's cockpit. Mm-hmm. Probably got a weird name, mind you, like Splunge.
Chance Cube.
Yes. Well, that's what they had in Thingy Thing. The red blue Chance Cube.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. If only that had come up, the other side, then a lot of problems wouldn't have happened.
If Qui-Gon hadn't been so annoying.
Yeah. Another thing that I think is quite accessible about the game is that it's like a big storytelling campaign game, but there's no miniatures to paint. It's all just really nice, wonderful art presented on standees. And then the app is there as well. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like using apps and they prefer to read, which you can do. But as someone who's played Forgotten Waters, the actual storytelling and the voice acting is really good. And it's nice to have like on in the background and stuff as well. And it sort of keeps track of things as well. So it's a good way for you to go at things if you want to approach it from that sort of avenue. But yeah, very
running
nice.
it the others as well. It sounds fantastic, especially like you say for introducing
sort of teens and stuff into games,
into board games and narrative campaigns and that sort of thing, rather than just here's your one-off sort of spammy type game, and you play once, then you forget about it until the next time you break it out, and then spend all Christmas reading the rules. Pick them while they're young. We learned that from the tobacco industry. Get them in there,
smoke,
and then you're flying. You're absolutely flying. Obviously, massively funded already. Again, smashed its goal out of the park. 27 days left on it. Time of recording. Right, that's us. I've given up. Tomorrow's a busy day. There's a lot of drinking to be done. Spain, England final. Ooh. And then on Sunday, we'll be over with hangovers for the Cult of Games XLBS on tabletop.com. Well, one of us maybe. Who knows? If you want to join us there, you can, because we're going to have a bit of a witter about our hobby and yours in a much more relaxed way. I don't even wear pants when we're filming. It's good. It's very, very louche.
It's like he's wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all.
You can join us for that on Sunday morning. If you're not already a cultist, you can get a 30-day free trial. Give it a go. Kick the tires. See what you think. Otherwise, we'll be back next Friday. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.